New York, the city that never stops, not for sleep, not for time. Yet once, this was only swamp and silence. No skyline, no steel, just raw land waiting for ambition. How did this small outpost become the heartbeat of the modern world? This is the story of how New York rose and kept on rising. The land before the city. Before there were streets and skyscrapers, this land was wild and green. Rivers carved through forests. The air was thick with pine and salt. Deer grazed near open streams, and the rhythm of life followed the seasons. This was the home to the Lenape, Native American tribes who called this place Lenape-Hoking, the land of the people. They fished in its rivers, hunted in its forests, and farmed its open clearings. Every hill, every shore had meaning. Their villages were built not for conquest, but for balance, living in rhythm with the earth. Then, in the distance, sails appeared on the horizon, strange ships carrying flags, noise, and intent. For the Lenape, the world was about to change forever. But peace never lasts long when profit is on the horizon. The Dutch Gamble. The year was 1609. A Dutch-financed explorer named Henry Hudson sailed up what is now the Hudson River, searching for a passage to Asia. He didn't find one, but he found something else: opportunity. The Dutch saw the land as perfect for trade. Furs, timber, and access to waterways meant profit. So, they came back. In 1625, they built Fort Amsterdam at the southern tip of Manhattan, a sturdy wooden fort that marked the start of a settlement they called New Amsterdam. Small wooden homes began to rise around it, markets filled with goods from across the Atlantic. Here, they traded, built, and dreamed. Yet, beneath the progress was tension. This land was not empty. The Lenape were watching as the newcomers claimed what was never theirs. And while the Dutch built their walls for protection, they could not build one high enough to keep history out. The English takeover. By 1664, England had set its eyes on the Dutch colony. New Amsterdam was thriving and trade meant power. So English warships entered the harbor, their cannons loaded, yet no battle followed. The Dutch governor, Peter Stuyvesant, surrendered without a fight. With a stroke of a pen, New Amsterdam became New York, named after the Duke of York, the brother of England's king. Under English rule, the city grew fast. Merchants traded goods across the Atlantic, and immigrants began to arrive from every corner of Europe. The streets filled with ambition and accents, but also with inequality. The same port that brought wealth also brought enslaved Africans, men and women, forced to build the city's foundations in chains. A city built on freedom, but never free from struggle. Revolution and rebirth. By the 1770s, New York was caught between two worlds, loyal to Britain, yet restless with the idea of freedom. The streets echoed with talk of revolution. Then came war. In 1776, George Washington's troops fought to defend the city, but the Battle of Long Island ended in defeat. The British occupied New York for 7 long years. Buildings burned, families fled, and the dream of independence seemed lost. But in 1783, when the war finally ended, British troops withdrew, and Washington returned in triumph. Crowds filled the streets as the American flag rose once again over the city. New York was reborn, not as a colony, but as a symbol of liberty. It would soon host the nation's first Congress and see George Washington sworn in as the first president of the United States. From ashes and loss, New York had learned its first great truth to rise again. The melting pot emerges. In the 19th century, millions came chasing a dream. From Ireland came the hungry and hopeful. From Italy came workers with hands rough from labor. From Eastern Europe came Jewish families fleeing persecution. From China came those who built railroads and washed laundry to survive. They all arrived with one belief that here, life could begin again. Ellis Island became the gateway. Each name written in its registry carried a story of struggle and courage. Above them, the Statue of Liberty stood tall, her torch burning like a promise. But dreams have a price. Tenement buildings packed families into rooms barely large enough to breathe. Disease spread through narrow streets. In 5 points, Gangs ruled the night, and poverty turned hunger into violence. Yet, even here, hope refused to die. From chaos and crowding, a new kind of city was forming, diverse, defiant, and alive. The City of Steel. As the 19th century faded, a new race began, a race upward. Bridges connected boroughs. The Brooklyn Bridge, a marvel of its time, linked Manhattan and Brooklyn in 1883. Soon, steel replaced stone, and ambition reached for the clouds. By the 1920s, the skyline was alive with cranes and dreams. The Empire State and Chrysler buildings stood like monuments to human will. Beneath them, jazz played through Harlem's clubs, and the city pulsed with rhythm, rebellion, and light. New York was alive, rich, reckless, roaring. But then came the crash. Wall Street crumbled in 1929, and the music stopped. Businesses closed, soup lines grew, and the city's heartbeat slowed to a whisper. When the laughter faded, silence filled the streets. But New York was not done yet. War, recovery, and reinvention. When war swept across the world, New York became the engine of the fight. Its factories built ships and planes. Its docks loaded supplies for soldiers crossing the Atlantic. For many troops, their last view of home was Lady Liberty fading into the distance. After victory, the city transformed once again. While Europe rebuilt from ruins, New York rose higher than ever. It became the new center of finance, art, and diplomacy. The United Nations opened its doors here, and Wall Street pulsed as the heart of global trade. But success came with shadows. By the 1970s, the city was bleeding. Crime soared, poverty deepened, and blackouts left streets in darkness. Yet amid the fear, something stronger grew. Resilience. New Yorkers refused to give up. They painted murals, made music, and demanded change. Every time New York falls, it learns how to rise again. The modern giant. The 1980s brought rebirth. Art spilled from Soho's lofts. Hip-hop echoed from the Bronx to the world. New York was reinventing itself again. Then, in 2001, tragedy struck. The towers fell, and the city fell silent. But in that silence, unity grew. Strangers helped strangers. Hope returned, and new steel began to rise where ashes had been. Today, New York is more than a city. It's a mirror of humanity itself. From Wall Street to Brooklyn's tech startups, from Broadway to Harlem, it keeps reinventing what it means to live, dream, and build. New York isn't just built from stone and steel. It's built from people who refuse to stop dreaming. From every fall, it rises stronger, louder, and brighter. This city never ends. It only begins again.